Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned seven-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started. All right. Super excited to be here today, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Published and Paid podcast. Super excited about today's topic because we're talking about boundaries to set in your business. And I wanted to come and talk about this because yesterday I made a post stating my opinion about where I felt like you need to be when you are serious about entrepreneurship. But then this morning I noticed that someone wrote a post about what I posted, but they made a lot of personal attacks against me, a lot of personal comments regarding my character, the emotional work I needed to do. It was all of this bullcrap, to be honest with you, what I felt was bullcrap. And so I responded under their post and I'm like, hey, I saw your post. I'm just curious is this in reference to what I posted yesterday? They said that it was, and I responded, okay, I'd like to give some insight. So I gave some insight, and of course they went back and edited their post saying, yes, it is, but I'm not interested in debating this, that, and the third. And so I said what I said. I was very respectful. I said, I'm a fan of your work. I respect the work that you do. However, here's the perspective behind why I said what I said. And I left it at that. But they then went back and edited their original post to include all of this other stuff. And so I was pondering on it for a minute because I was like, this was someone that I felt like I had a decent relationship with. We'd been in a mastermind together. I'd known her business wise, and I've let her know several times that I respect the work that she does. But she took it beyond that to what I felt was a personal attack. And I realized that I had a lot of things to do on this particular day. And now my mental focus was off. Because of me focusing on the things that I needed to do, I was focused on whether or not I should even respond, right? And so before you know it, 1 hour went by, 2 hours went by, the whole entire morning was gone. And I said, you know what? I haven't recorded my podcast for the day. There are a list of things that I haven't done, all because my focus was not there. And so I wanted to come on today's episode to talk about the 5 boundaries that you must be able to set in your life and in your business, right? Because setting these boundaries will help you from going off on the deep end in the first place. But let's be real. Sometimes things are going to happen, but how do you get back on track and then execute what you need to do and move forward confidently? So the first boundary that you need to have is a boundary with your time and your attention. You have to guard your gates. And this is one of the things that I had to remind myself about today. You've got to guard your ear gates. You've got to guard your eye gates. And you got to understand that when people respond to you in a certain way, it actually says more about them than it says about you, especially if they're responding to something that was not threatening them. It was not violent. It may have just challenged their thoughts or their thinking processes about something. So where you give your attention, where you put your time, you have to have boundaries around that. Because as an entrepreneur, everything is going to come back to how you manage your time and what you do throughout your day. I can look at how you implement your time and I can tell what you're going to be accomplishing in the next year or so. I can take a look at how you're managing or not managing your time and make some adjustments to help you find the time that you say that you don't have. I literally wasted like 2 hours today thinking about whether or not I should respond, cultivating a response, then deleting it, cultivating a post and then deleting it, talking to a few friends of mine. And I'm like, you know what? This don't mean that much. At the end of the day, she can have whatever opinion she want to have. My content did its job. My content, it was designed to be triggering, and it was triggered, and she was triggered by it. And the reason why she was triggered has nothing to do with me. And I had to remind myself, Jazz, you've got things to do. You've got to be focused on your time. Snap out of it and get back to what you need to get back to, because this one person's opinion has nothing to do with you. And even if it was 100 people in their opinions, you have the right to have your own opinions about things. You've got the right to stand on your own 2 feet, to share your thoughts. And it is what it is. So you've got to have boundaries with your time and attention. How much time you're spending on social media, the type of attention that you are giving to other people. Are you wasting time online in debates with folks, in political debates with people, in relationships with, not relationships, but debates with people around polarizing content and polarizing topics such as divorce or co-parenting, marriage, remarriage? At the end of the day, is what you're spending your time and attention on going to move the needle forward in your life? At the end of the day, is what you're spending time and attention on going to help you accomplish your goals and grow your business? And if the answer is no, leave it alone and get focused. The second boundary that you need to have is a boundary around your time. We all have 24 hours in a day. Yes, you can hire contractors, you can hire employees to help you maximize your output, but at the end of the day, you as a person have 24 hours per day for things that you can physically do. And if you waste too much time on unproductive tasks or giving things and people energy that do not deserve it, you are actually taking yourself back from your goals. Like, I can't get back the 2 hours that I spent this morning. And now it's in the afternoon. My kids come home from school in 2 hours and I'm sitting here trying to cram because I didn't set a boundary around my time or my attention, because I allowed someone else's opinion of me to get me off of my square. Set your calendar and stick to it. Now, of course, there are going to be things that happen, like today. I got a text from my child's teacher about they were coding. He was coding class and he wasn't focusing, this, that. I took him a jacket up there and wrote him an encouraging note, reminding him to be a leader and doing his best. For me, that was, even though I needed to do that for my child, I don't look at that as an interruption in my business, because I was pouring into my child. And my child and my family always takes precedence and priority. So you've got to have boundaries around how you implement, around how you execute. Number 3, you want to have boundaries around the time that it takes you to implement and execute something. Like I said, I wasted 2 hours this morning simply because I allowed someone else's opinion of me to get me off focus, when I know at the end of the day, I wasn't those things that that person said I am. That person ain't had, that we had a conversation at a mastermind. We might have talked a day or two after that, a time or two after that. We've had some interactions here and there on social media, but this person does not know me. You cannot let people who don't know you, like let people's opinions and they don't know you, get you off your square. So now here I am trying to implement all the things I was supposed to implement this morning, and I have a boundary, meaning that I'm giving myself 30 minutes to finish the next 2 podcasts. I literally have a timer on my desk while I'm recording this, because I am going to stick to my time. So some of us will sit in our heads for too much, wondering about how to implement, wondering about how to execute, especially when you have to make a pivot, especially when you have to make a change, when the truth is the clarity is going to come when you do. The clarity is going to come when you execute. The clarity is going to come when you move forward. So you need to protect your implementation time. Set your timer and tell yourself, I'm going to give myself this amount of time to get this done, and that's it. And I'm going to get it done in this amount of time. Stop dragging things out for hours or for days that can literally be done in 30 minutes or less. The 5th boundary that you need to set is a boundary with your mental and your emotional energy. Now, all of us have things going on outside of business. Some of you all may have jobs, you may have a spouse, you may have children. Like, I had to go to my son's school this morning. I was somewhat flustered because I'm like, I want him to do well and I want him to learn how to emotionally regulate himself. But I also understand that he is a growing child and he's not going to be perfect. And he's also not going to be like my daughter. Like she has her own growing moments, right? She's got her own set of challenges. And so all of these things were swirling in my head at the same time. Man, I've got this to do. I've got that to do. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. And I realized, you know what? I've got to have a boundary with my mental energy. I've got to have a boundary with my emotional energy. Let me woosah. Let me say a prayer. Let me take a deep breath because this person over here on the internet then said something about me too. And that's in my head. But I can't be my best if I'm allowing these other things that I cannot control to impact me and impact how I'm showing up. So this is where I'm going to draw my boundary. I'm going to do the best that I can. Instead of reprimanding my son, I'm going to send him an encouraging note. I'm going to encourage him to be his best. Instead of spending additional energy responding to this person more than I've already responded to them, I'm going to release them in love and light. If I want to respond to them, it'll be after I finish my day, after I've had a chance to process everything. Have boundaries. Some of us, we give of ourselves too much. Some of us, we put too much of our mental energy and too much of our emotional energy into people, into situations, when these folks can't even control themselves, and you're allowing them and what they think and how they feel, or things that they do, or even things that they say, to disrupt you and your peace and your mental energy. And this is where you have to have, I would just say, a sense of resolve in yourself, where you say, you know what, I'm not going to let nothing or nobody stress me out. And I'm going to be quiet. Instead of responding and flipping off, I'm going to be quiet. Instead of responding and flipping off, I'm going to think about what they said. I'm going to think about why it triggered me. I'm going to think about whether or not I even should respond. And you know what? I'm going to have a great day today, and I will get to that later. Stay focused. Stop letting folks who visibly don't have control over themselves and who are irritated irritate you. Stop doing that. And have a boundary with your mental and emotional energy and how you choose to distribute it, okay? The other boundary that you need to have in your personal life and business is of course, boundaries with your finances. Now, in terms of business, you need to have your budget for things. How much you're going to spend on certain things. How much you're going to spend on coaching. How much you're going to not spend on invest in coaching, because coaching should always be an investment that you're going to get a return on, not an expense or a liability. It's an asset. How much you're going to spend on your tech. How much you're going to spend going to events. You need to know these things, because anything that you invest financially should have a return attached to it. And you need to be willing to do the work required to get the adequate return. And so these are the 5 boundaries to set and establish. And I had to remind myself of this today. A lot of people ask me, how are you able to stay focused and do what you need to do? It's because I have learned how to compartmentalize. And over the years of just navigating a lot of different personal challenges while building a business, I have had to learn how to separate the two. If you allow your emotions, and if you allow, an irritated or disturbed mental state to disrupt you and your plans, you're always going to be behind the 8 ball. And you're going to have to learn how to control these parts of yourself if you want more peace, if you want more happiness, and if you want more success in your endeavors. Your peace and your happiness, of course, it might be influenced by folks in our lives, but other people's actions and words should not determine whether or not you have inner peace within yourself. That comes from within. And those are things that you're going to have to continually and consistently develop every single day through managing your mind, managing your emotions, and managing your time. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Also, make sure that you leave a review and send this to someone who you know needs this. Until next time, peace, love, and impact.